Over 18 months, this cultural anthropologist traveled the Hudson River corridor talking to the region's residents about ticks and the diseases that come from their bites. Lyme is one of those ailments, and it comes from the bite of a black-legged tick. You can see a female black-legged tick that I picked up on my pant leg while doing field work on the slide here. And we know that this is a female because of her larger size and red-orange coloring. Lyme disease is the most common tick-borne disease in New York State. It was the focus of my research interviews where I talked with people about where Lyme comes from and what puts them at risk for tick bites. It was during those conversations that I heard one phrase repeated by interlocutors who had had Lyme or knew someone who had the disease. They said to me, "You don't get it until you get it." They used that phrase to emphasize the realities of what I called our Lyme disease biographies, the depths of suffering from a disease they felt in their bodies, a disease that reshaped their identities, relationships, finances, and much more. If knowing Lyme disease comes from experience, as interlocutors emphasized, one of my driving questions was whether the same could be said of tick bite risks and the potential for disease. And so I asked, do residents' social experiences and interactions with the land shape their Lyme disease risk biographies? A multi-sided approach helped me answer this question. Interlocutors in the North Country had different risk perceptions than those living in the lower corridor. In the lower corridor, people told me ticks were everywhere, and as I dug into the meaning of that sentiment, they didn't just mean that the ticks were hiding under fallen leaves. The evidence of their presence, their sign, was manifested in people's minds when they looked at their lawns, a beloved extension of their homes, but also in the bodies of those of their friends, families, and even pets who had suffered from this disease. Yes, for them, ticks were everywhere. But upriver and beyond, in a region that's called the Blue Line, the boundary area for the Adirondack Park, interlocutors told me that not everyone could be a year-round resident there. After all, they said, the mountains are a tough place for a tough people. Living upcountry and within the Blue Line was a sign of pride and skill. And ticks, they said, it was hard to believe a tiny bug could survive a winter in the Blue Line. The line formed a protective bubble around residents, rendering ticks a faraway problem for flatlanders to worry about. For them, the tick wasn't just a tiny bug that makes people sick, but a threat to a deep-rooted North Country identity. My research shows how regional identities, who we are and who we want to be, influences residents' Lyme risk biographies and attendant prevention measures. It advances the work of social science and infectious disease studies by demonstrating the value of examining regional identities and their influence on beliefs about disease risks. And its practical applications can enhance health educator communication strategies and initiatives in a world that grapples with infectious disease in everyday life.